What's next doesn't happen by accident. It doesn't happen by chance. What's next happens when experience meets expertise, when data meets dollars, and when steel meets earth. What's next happens when the promising work of Pioneer's state-of-the-art research centers meets the unsparing challenges of more than 17,000 on-farm trials. Our ultimate goal is to bring the next seed breakthrough to your fields, because Pioneer isn't just our name, it's our mission. Pioneer. What's next happens here.
It's time for RealAg Radio on Rural Radio Channel 147 on Sirius XM. RealAg Radio and RealAgriculture.com is your home for insight and analysis of the issues that are impacting your farm business. Let's get real and get connected with RealAg Radio. Welcome to RealAg Radio here on Rural Radio 147, Sirius XM. Shaun Haney, your host here on this Thursday edition of the show. Hey, it's the Farmer Rapid Fire today, and it's brought to you by Pioneer Seeds Canada. For more than 90 years, Pioneer has developed and tested products to meet your local challenges with new Optimum Glide canola, Enlist D3 soybeans, to performing corn products and industry-leading traits and technologies to maximize your yield potential. Pioneer's on-the-ground teams can help you get the right products for your fields. Visit pioneer.com/Canada to learn more. And we got a great lineup today on the Farmer Rapid Fire. Some wily veterans, we'll put it that way. We've got Dietrich, he's in Lucan, Ontario. Ryan McCarron is out in Nova Scotia. Cherilyn Nagel is in Mossbank, Saskatchewan. And Shaun Harty is in Foremost. And today's Pioneer agronomist is from Ontario. It's Greg Stops. Love talking to Greg. He'll be with us today on the program as well. If you have any feedback on today's show, well, of course, you can send me an email, shaney@realagriculture.com. You can also find us across all the different social media platforms. Or, of course, you can call the RealAg feedback line, 855-776-6147. Got a couple calls on earlier this week's request in regards to tell me how the carbon tax has impacted you. Keep those coming. Emails, feedback line, please keep letting me know your thoughts. I want to use them next week on the show when we're at the APAS annual general meeting on Tuesday. So looking forward to that indeed. Let's take a break. And when we come back, we're going to get started with the Farmer Rapid Fire out in Nova Scotia right after this.
Picture this. You've just taken a photo that really celebrates agriculture and your community. Why not share it with the Lalman Hometown Roots Photo Contest for a chance to support your community with $5,000. Lalman is a family-owned company that supports growers with products like Lalfix Start Spherical Pulses and Lalfix Pro Yield Liquid Soybean. Visit LalmanHometownRoots.com for more information.
Peter Johnson at WheatPete, RealAgriculture.com. I'm the host of The Word, and I love doing The Word. I love the questions. I love the challenges. I love having to apply agronomics to all over the globe and areas outside of my normal jurisdiction. Also, I love the feedback the most, where growers challenge me, tell me about their plot results, help me to learn. The Word, absolutely the best part of my day.
What's next for your fields? At Pioneer, delivering industry-leading genetics drives everything we do. From the scientists in the lab to our local teams with boots on the ground. We are determined to get there first. Developing top-performing products, proven in more growing conditions than ever before. Pioneer. What's next happens here. Visit pioneer.com/Canada to learn more.
And we now take the Farmer Rapid Fire, brought to you by Pioneer Seeds Canada, to Antigonish, Nova Scotia. And we're talking to Ryan McCarron. Hey, Ryan, how's it going?
Oh, not too bad. How about yourself?
Hey, pretty good. So, hey, what's happening on the farm this week?
Oh, we're still trying to harvest some corn, but we're in the middle of a breakdown, so just the season keeps on giving.
So what's going on? What happened? Combine broke down or what?
Yeah, just a cross auger bearing.
How long have you down for?
Hopefully not too long. But should have it parked in town. We're not too far away, so.
Okay. Have you been suffering some equipment setbacks and sort of getting some bad luck when it comes to breakdowns during the harvest here?
Yeah, well, this year just kind of running an older combine, so it's been a bit of a challenge this year. But plus, just kind of everything's been so wet out east.
Yep.
And just kind of fighting rain. So then you get a window, and then you get a breakdown. It's kind of like adds a little extra pressure to it. But
so how wet is it?
It is what it is. Every other day it's been raining. Big rain events too. You get 2-3 inches in an event, and then kind of drizzle the rest of the week. And we're on heavy clay ground, and then frost comes out of the ground. Like today, it was pretty hard, and everything's froze up. And then the frost will come out of the ground, and it's just like, yeah, you just sink.
So
it's not fun.
Yeah, no. And then you go in there with the combine, and you're trying to prevent. You got to get the crop off, but you're worried about compaction and making a mess of right the ruts and all that.
Yeah, compaction this year is just kind of like a back issue. It's just you're looking out there, you're making a mess. We're at the stage now where you just got to get it off.
Yeah.
Like it's just too late in the season now, and you kind of start worrying about snow and stuff. Like we're so close to the water here that we get a lot of snow effect.
Yeah.
So you kind of like get into the stuff. You kind of get into the issue where you won't get freeze up. You'll get snow before you'll get freeze up, and then the issue just compounding.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a crunch period, but we don't got too much left to go. Just the little things.
So how far behind? Yeah. How far behind is harvest then? Like comparatively speaking, like where are you at today versus where you'd want to be in the last 5 years?
Well, normally if we're kind of finishing up right now, it'd be all right. Like this would be the last, like kind of end of November, early December. Generally, we might have a few little things that we're just finishing up drying, and that. So it's not too far behind now. Just that we're not getting like the weather window. Sometimes you normally get into November, you have like a 2-3 week window where you can just you'd have good weather that'd be conducive, and you even if you did have a breakdown, it wouldn't be that big of an issue. But so yeah, it is what it is. Just trying to keep positive.
you got it right. And how have the yields been?
Surprisingly, not bad for how wet it's been. Like for our area, if you're getting 4 ton to the acre. 4 metric ton to the acre, that's kind of been pretty good, kind of what you kind of hit for. And it hasn't been too far off that, kind of up and below. Like some areas where it's been like really heavy clay and there's not much drainage, it's like there's nothing there. But for the most part, all over, it's been pretty average. Like it's average or maybe just a below average. So yeah, it's not too bad actually, considering.
Just got to push through and get it done.
Yeah. And we'll get it. Like these weeks are kind of, we're getting some more colder nights and stuff. So you kind of have to do those extra, not normal harvesting hours, but we'll get it off.
Yeah. So what kind of weather are you cheering for right now? Are you cheering for dry and cold, or what are you hoping for?
I want everything that you guys in the West have, and I want to give you all the rain we have. If we could just do a swap for the rest of the year, that'd be great.
I appreciate you identify that. When you talk about like, oh yeah, rain yesterday was like 2-3 inches. I'm like, man. When did we get 2-3 inches the last time? But it can be frustrating. Like you joke about it, but we're getting all the rain. We're getting all the extra rain that you guys are supposed to be getting. Yeah. So so that dry and the cold, because then the ground's froze or it's hard. You're not creating a big mess. Yeah, and that creates its own issues too. But at least then you can get across the field. Everything's just kind of clean. Like compaction's not an issue then really because it's froze up, so you're not really worrying about it as much then. And you just kind of have the ability then to get it out. So when you've been getting this much rain through harvest, everything tiled then? Yeah, like all of our land is tiled. Like 90% of my land is all systematically tiled. And then we're on some custom stuff at certain places, and some ground's not tiled, some of it isn't. Yeah. I'm telling everybody to get tile. Yeah? Yeah, Ronnie, get some tile for next year. What like in around your area there, what percent of the ground would be tiled? Would it be over half or? Like my ground, there was good programs back in the early 90s and late 80s. Okay. A lot of guys, if they own the ground too, that's the other thing. Like if you own the ground, that's a long-term investment. Everyone will whack tile into that. Yeah. Then if you're on rented ground, you're kind of like, you don't want to put too much money in there, and then lose it, or someone else comes in and tries to offer better rent, or, it's kind of all those things you got to have to manage too. We had somebody on the show here going back a couple of weeks. I'm trying to remember who it was. They said they only made that mistake once, where they tiled some rented ground, and then I can't remember if it was the next year or a couple of years after. somebody walked in with a lot more money and they lost the ground. They're like, yep, never doing that again.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's a challenge, definitely, because then you just kind of crop that ground a little differently if it's around a ground. You know, you can put some low input crops, or you can grow hay or sell it, or, you know, it's kind of find a fit for it where you're not really laying too much out in case you do lose it, but still getting something off of it. We have cattle and a mixed operation, so we can kind of like make hay or something on that ground. If it's ground that I'm leasing that's not tiled, and then I can put more of my own ground into higher value crops.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. So what crops are you all growing on the farm?
Like alfalfa hay, like alfalfa Timothy fescue mixes, and then we grow just like straight grass mixes for the hay that we'll grow to sell to the horse market. And then we'll grow corn, wheat, and barley, are primarily grain crops. Maybe add soybeans in, like they'd add into our rotation a little bit. Yeah. But mostly corn's one of our main cash crops. Barley we kind of keep for feeding to our steers. And then wheat's just one of those ones, depends on where it has a fit in the rotation. Sometimes we'll feed it or sell it, just depending on how much we have in.
Right.
And then all the alfalfa crops are grown for our own feed. And then like hay is like a Timothy, bluegrass, fescue mix, depending on the ground it is.
So how's the horse market been?
Yeah, no, Christ, if I can't keep hay in there because it's such a wet summer. If it was such a wet summer that if we had 10 times the hay we had, we'd be able to sell it no problem, just because no one could make any because the windows are so short this summer for that. And then as far as like our own personal horse business, it's been good. We just pretty much shipped all our foals out this year that are gone to the markets in the States and a couple places in Canada.
Okay.
So that's been good.
That's typically where they go?
Yeah, like we kind of sell them. It depends. They can go all over, but this year we had, a mare and foal go to California. One go to Oregon, one go to Washington, and one go to Texas. And just one go locally. And I think that's it. I'm probably forgetting some. My wife will kill me, but I can't remember.
For what are the purpose of the horses? Like, I actually didn't know that you did this. So talk about that a little bit.
Yeah. They're more of a pleasure. Like it depends. Some people might compete with them in like a ranch trail class. Some people might just have them as a personal horse for trail riding. Some people will do endurance riding with them because they're a type of a Mustang, a Kiger Mustang originated in Oregon. So some people they have good fits in like if you're doing kind of like a ranch versatility riding or trail riding or kind of like that backcountry endurance riding. They're kind of popular for that. Hard hoofs can handle the distance. Good temperament for it.
Yeah.
And then we also raise quarter horses too. That's more for like cutting and reining events.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you're shipping them to some pretty nice areas of the world, like Oregon and Washington. That's a beautiful area. Have you been able to ever go out there and spend much time?
No, I haven't been able to get out there yet. We'd love to go out there sometime and meet some of the customers. Like that's all my wife's side there. That's her. She specialized in that side of the business, and I can't take any credit for that. She does all the marketing for that. So
it's a nice diversification.
Yeah. No, we got a few irons in the fire, so it's good. Either multiple ways to fail or multiple ways to make money. So some days it's a bit of both, I guess.
Yeah, indeed. That's being an entrepreneur, my friend. That's being an entrepreneur. Hey, really,
it's going pretty good.
Yeah, good. Well, hey, I really appreciate you joining us here this week on the Farm Rapid Fire. We'll talk to you again soon.
No, thank you, Shaun. Thanks for calling.
It's so true. If we could just take some of that moisture in Nova Scotia and move it west, boy, we'd have something great. Absolutely. One can only hope. We'll hear about how dry some of the areas are here coming up later on the Farmer Rapid Fire. You're listening to RealAg Radio, brought to you today by Pioneer Seeds Canada.
CDC Endure is a new oat line from Alliance Seed. High yielding with excellent disease resistance and the quality end users ask for, all in one great oat variety. CDC Endure provides the high beta-glucan levels to make heart-healthy products like breakfast cereals. For more information on CDC Endure oats, as well as any other products from Alliance Seed, check out allianceseed.com or visit any Alliance Seed authorized retailers.
What were the issues in your fields this year? Did you do a soil sample? What is your soil sample telling you about some of the nutrient issues that you might be having going into next year? What herbicides did you use? What residues you might be concerned about? What weed issues did you have? What crop residues did you have? How well do you know your fields?
Get the answers to all the questions you have about your pulse crop at the Pulse School on RealAgriculture.com.
If you're involved in the agriculture industry, it's important to stay informed on all the latest issues affecting your business. At RealAgriculture.com, we offer fast, reliable news, information, and insights to help you keep on top of all of the latest in Canadian agriculture. Visit RealAgriculture.com and sign up for our free daily newsletter covering everything from news, agronomy, animal agriculture, and much more. Visit RealAgriculture.com/subscribe today.
And we take the Farmer Rapid Fire, brought to you by Pioneer Seeds Canada, to Lucan, Ontario. We're talking to Eric Dietrich. Hey, Eric, how's it going?
Hey, I'm really good. Yourself, Shaun?
Pretty good. Okay, so how are you making out with corn harvest?
Yeah, no, we're making it pretty good. We've had some really productive days. We're down to the last couple hundred acres here. We'll be finished up shortly.
Wow, you've had a good run.
Yeah, no, it's well, we got a good team, so we're very fortunate.
How do you keep the team kind of all, like, because harvest can be a long one. So how do you keep everybody going on a daily basis, keep the energy kind of up? Because there's long days, long hours, and it can be real taxing.
Well, we're pretty fortunate. So I farm with my parents and my two younger brothers, and my wife's still involved. She helps her parents a lot, but she, when push comes to shove, she comes to the table too. So we're all, I guess, pretty deeply invested.
Yeah.
And so it doesn't, you don't have to push too hard. We also have two dedicated employees, and I guess they get as much of a high off harvest as we do. So
it is an exciting time of year. So how are those yields been? Pretty good?
Yields are good. We're going to have some record breaking farms. I don't know if the farm average will be. Some farms get too much water. But that's kind of what I'm hearing across this part of the province. Just we had so much water this summer, eh?
Yeah, and there has been some moisture through harvest time that's kind of frustrated a lot of people and disrupted people from being as productive as they want to be. How have you kind of managed through that? Have you had quite a bit of rainfall?
Yeah, we've had rainfall. We've also had some snowfall, but the snowfall or the freezing temperatures seem to slow you down more if you can still put the snow through. But sometimes the rainfall can be as bad as the snow, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But no, we're fortunate, I guess, with our own grain system too, so we can kind of tailor our hours to when field conditions are right, and so we do end up doing a lot in the dark. But I guess that's why they put lights on stuff.
And you've got like you just said, you got your own grain dryer on farm.
Yeah, yep,
yeah. So is somebody kind of dedicated to that, or how do you manage that through all the other stuff that's going on?
Yeah, we all have our own roles. My two younger brothers take the lead role at the elevator, and they kind of switch off watching dryers through the night, and that kind of segments into the trucking a bit. So they kind of manage that aspect. I'm usually always in the field, in the combine for the most part, and we all just kind of have our role. And Dad does a lot of trucking and a lot of fall tillage, and my brother Jake also does the fertilizer spreading for fall P&K.
Has all the machinery kind of held up through the harvest season? Have you had any struggles?
Actually, we've had some pretty good luck. Trying to think here. Just the minor stuff, like always gets a few little breakdowns, but sensors, no rings, stuff like that you can't really avoid. But no, it's been pretty good. We had a dryer fan grenade there yesterday, I guess, but we were going again in a couple hours. So
yeah. And throughout the whole season, kind of equipment doing okay. Is that kind of been the trend that you've sort of avoided some of the bad luck?
we've had a pretty good. I'm trying to think if we've had anything catastrophic through the years. No, things have been. There's always risk with equipment, I guess, but no, for the most part, things have ran pretty smooth. We work with some good dealers. I guess we did have one tractor go down, but same thing with these new warranty programs and stuff. They got us going and gave us a loaner for that time. So
yeah. I never asked you about your soybeans. How did they do?
Soybeans were good. I think they were just slightly above average. Quality was. Oh, I got a beeper going on in the combine here.
live in the action here. This is good.
The quality. There's John Deere for you. It says I'm out of my seat, but I'm sitting in it. So quality. Sorry about that. Quality was real. We grow all non-GMO IP beans for export markets. So the quality was really good, which we were happy about, and the yields were just slightly above average, and we got all our winter wheat in. So no, it was good on that front.
How's that wheat look?
The wheat looks good. Some areas we farm we got a dusting of snow, so it's just kind of snow covered. But no, the wheat, it actually surprisingly, for how the ground conditions were fairly wet, and the wheat actually kind of surprised us. It looks good.
Nice. Well, Peter Johnson will be happy to hear that, since he's maybe his wheat will look a bit better too if yours looks good.
Yeah. Oh, my neighbor Peter, we always poke fun at each other, but I think his wheat looks pretty good too if he's listening.
Okay. That we can't pick on him too much. And any big winter plans once harvest is over?
Winter plans. No, we got a bunch of farm cleanup projects going, just with some drainage and that, and with the excavators, and we have some barns to clean up some old buildings.
Yeah,
we're doing that, and wife and I hope to go to the Commodity Classic in March down there in Texas if we get that far. But that's maybe get skiing a few times. Other than that, just around the farm.
Well, I'll be at Commodity Classic, so hope to see you there. Then it's a really good time. It's a big show. It's really, they put on a good one. It's a lot of fun. So you should try to figure that out, how to make that happen.
I've been once before. Mom and Dad have been a few more times, but it's kind of your pump up for spring, right? Like it just get you in the mindset. And no, I'm looking forward to it. I hope we can make it.
Yeah, you don't have a really long turnaround when you think about it, right? Because we're already here at the end of November. It's, Christmas is right here. So that's kind of like a busy time. And then all of a sudden we're in the new year and we're doing the countdown to planting. It's a very, very short turnaround.
It is. But it seems like by the time you get stuff away and then you just haul a bit of grain and all of a sudden you're hooking stuff back on, make sure everything's ready for spring. It just, anyways, that's part of it.
Yeah. It's one of the big differences to say areas like, Western Canada or the western half of the U.S., like in Colorado or places like that. Like, there's a much bigger, like people have been in Western Canada, people have been done harvest for, months, right? Like it's just the crops were growing in the kind of the season. And it's just way different. Sometimes I forget about how short that turnaround is.
Yeah, no, that's one thing being in the Great Lakes region here. We get a long season, but I guess we also have to use that season with our environment. So it's a different way of doing it, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, hey, Eric, thanks a lot for joining us here this week. Really appreciate it. Good luck with the rest of harvest here. You got just a couple hundred acres left, and we'll chat with you again soon. Okay.
Yep. Thanks, Shaun. Have a good day.
So in Eric's situation where he has an on-farm grain dryer, this is some of the big contention with 234 inside more conservative circles, is that the grain drying that would happen on Eric's farm would be exempt from the carbon tax. But for those farmers that have to haul it to an elevator, it would not be exempt. And that's one of the points of friction. And some farmers have said, hey, this needs to be fixed. This needs to be fixed in this bill. And hey, we had John Barlow, Shadow Minister for Agriculture, on the show here, and he said, like, that was one of the compromises. That yes, that does make sense, but I think it was actually the Ag Carbon Alliance that also said the same thing, is that was just in order to get that bipartisan support. This is one of the things that was negotiated. Obviously, in the current form, 234 is having its struggles, as you know. Okay, let's take a break. We've got more coming up here on the Farm Rapid Fire, listening to RealAg Radio, brought to you by Pioneer Seeds Canada.
When it comes to your farm, you demand performance, because what goes in determines what comes out. At Pride Seeds, we deliver on performance. With best-in-class corn hybrid seed, you'll see results when it comes to premium yields in all the ways that matter. Moisture, nutrition, dollars per acre, and of course, tonnage. So discover your farm's advantage, the Pride Seeds advantage. Visit your local dealer or prideseeds.com today.
You know, there's a reason we call it the Corn School. Videos on everything from planter setup, weed control, field trial results, yield strategies, and so much more. The Corn School on RealAgriculture.com has the information and advice you need to help you succeed. Brought to you by Pride Seeds and BASF, Corn School episodes are available at cornschool.com, from RealAgriculture.com, or as a podcast from your favorite streaming service. Download the latest podcast today.
And we took the Farmer Rapid Fire to Mossbank, Saskatchewan, and we're talking to Cherilyn Nagel. Hey, Cherilyn, how's it going?
Good morning, Shaun. I'm great, thanks.
Yes. What's happened on the farm this week? What's going on?
Oh, well, I'm looking at a little skiff of snow, and that makes me pretty happy. It's not what we need for the whole winter, but we've had like a couple little spurts. Some, half-inch shot of rain, followed by some snow. So that's actually feeling really good. We're sitting in a better position. So, yeah, looking at some moisture, equipment, field work, all the usual stuff that everybody's going through. We got our seed cleaned. Yeah, kind of checking things off the list.
Field work still going on, not complete yet?
Is it ever complete?
Well, good question.
I don't know that you can. Yeah, it's never really complete. But, we put up, made a new bin yard this year, an addition to the bin yard. So there's a little bit of
nice
stuff going on over there. And yeah, good stuff.
Okay, so the big flat bottom bins or hoppers, or what'd you do?
Hopper bottom. So it depends if we're going to throw the kids in them. You know what? That reminds me, we were trying to show the kids what things used to be like. We always like to drag our kids down memory lane.
Yeah.
And trying to explain to them, what the grain vac and stepping in and around those square bottom bins with the grain vac. They didn't love the idea of future farmers. When we talked to them about that. No, the new ones that we put up are nice big bins and, nice, easy, clean bins.
Yeah. Well, things like concrete ain't cheap either, right?
No, they're really not. No,
there's
really
the
not.
bin cost, and then there's the concrete cost.
Yeah. Well, we did some gravel exploration. David, he's always trying to, come up with some new projects, and we had a chunk of land that he was pretty sure had some gravel in it. So we did some excavating over there and found some gravel and got that sorted out. And so it's been kind of a fun project to work on. So we have some gravel for ourselves, some of our yards, and the new bin yard. So that was kind of a fun project to work on.
I as you're talking about like shoveling flat bottom bins, I was kind of getting sort of it was getting itchy. I have a terrible allergy to like barley dust, for example. And I remember
David's allergic to everything.
Yeah, as a kid, being in that flat bottom bin and shoveling. Ugh. Yeah. I remember when we got the grain vac, it was sort of like, oh my goodness, where has this thing been my entire life?
Yeah, you're right. I was talking about the grain vac, like that was the initial method. But you're right, it was shovel before that and then grain vac. And then when you get sweaty, it's even better because the dust likes to stick to it.
The worst. Do you have any
we should do a survey about how many farmers are allergic to the things that they grow.
Yeah, it's sort of like being a beekeeper and being allergic to the bees.
Anaphylactic. Yeah. David came in yesterday because both girls like hunting. Both Claire and Alta are hunters, so it's deer hunting season. And David was out helping Claire, cut up the buck that she got, and just absolutely broke out. He's definitely allergic to deer hair as well. So he just keeps putting himself in these terrible situations. I'm like, you don't have to do this anymore. But off he goes. An amazing dad.
Does does hunting kind of take over a lot of the activity? Because it's a relatively short season. So how big of a deal is it in the household?
Oh, since the girls were little, since David was little, he's been a hunter, both ducks and geese. And, we ran a duck and geese hunting lodge for 10 years or more. David and I and his mom and dad and his brother. And then, buck hunting in the fall. And when you bring your kids through that kind of tradition, then they're either going to love it or hate it. And both of our girls really, truly love it. But that's also coinciding at the time where David doesn't really want to do it anymore.
Yeah.
So he's really put himself in a position where the girls love it. And it's an amazing, family experience to go out, set up the decoys, lay in a blind. We've got relatives and hunters that come every year. So we have a good time doing that. But man, it is a lot more work in your 40s than it was in our 20s.
Yeah, no kidding. Crawling around in your belly like, what am I doing here? Have you ever done...
Well, there's not a lot of belly. There's not a lot of belly crawl.
Okay.
No, there's not a lot of that.
Have you done any big trips, like gone to hunt mountain goat or anything like that, or on a bear hunt? Because that would be terrifying.
No, never done anything like that. If I'm being honest, and just between you and me and the audience, Shaun,
100%.
David's getting soft.
Oh, David's getting soft.
He's not loving this anymore. He's not even loving the hunting anymore. It better be a really worthwhile buck. And we've always been very respectful of the animals and taught the kids that too. We come full circle and make the sausage. The kind of that whole circle of life. But
Yep.
He is getting soft. He's really getting soft when it relates to shooting animals.
Poor guy. You know what? I have never been hunting. And I
What?
I know. I've been fishing
Is it
a ton.
in opposition to it?
No, definitely not. We were not a family of hunters.
Okay.
But
yeah.
I'm also
What
a
about
terrible
gun
shot.
safety,
I'm a terrible. I was skeet shooting last summer. I'm glad. Good thing I'm not in the Wild West.
You wouldn't survive?
I wouldn't survive.
We've got some Annie Oakleys in this family. Seriously, some pretty good shots. Well, the girls both did biathlon through the winter.
Oh my goodness.
For a number of years pre-COVID. And so I think they're shooting like a loony size at 50 yards or something like that. So yeah, they have a pretty good shot.
My sister's a great shot. My sister's a great shot. With a rifle or a handgun. She is. She shot a lot. My dad and her would go to the backyard and stuff like that, the things that we do on the farm. And
you were left to dial on your radio?
I was just not very good at it. Yeah, I was left to dial the radio. It's good. He talks. Let him talk.
You're building your own radio stations and your own frequencies.
Yeah. Oh, interesting. What else is going on?
Come out then.
I would love to.
Lots of travel for work. I love being on the speaking circuit. And now that COVID has reduced all of those restrictions, then I'm back at it and really truly loving it. And everything from last week I was in Winkler, Manitoba, and had a really great time giving a keynote there. And then coming up here in December, I'm headed to Japan, going to Tokyo to talk at a biotech conference there. And I'm taking the family with me. They don't often get to travel with me, and they didn't choose to come to Winkler, but they were busy in their defense. But Japan, we're doing it. We're going to go as a family. And I've even incorporated them into the presentation.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, you have the same experience as I do. I'm going to some places like, no, Dad, I'll pass. Or, my wife just like, no, I'm good. But if I'm going to Kentucky, or I'm going to Houston, or close somewhere close to Disney, it's like, oh, I'm coming. Oh, yeah, okay, this is interesting.
Yeah, I want to be supportive of you.
Yeah.
When you're going to someplace cool.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Let's go to Tokyo. Have you ever been to Japan?
I have. It was 18 years ago, almost exactly. I was pregnant with Claire, with my oldest. I went to Hong Kong to the WTO negotiations with the wheat growers.
Yeah.
And then I had a friend that was living in Tokyo, and I, took a quick little flight over to visit with her too. So probably a vastly different Tokyo than what I'm about to see. But yeah, we're going to take a bullet train and go to Hiroshima.
Oh,
I'm quite interested in the energy sector. So we're going to go out and do that too. Learn a little bit more about the history of nuclear. Yeah, it's going to be really fun. And a biotech conference. It's pretty cool to go. I mean, when I think about Japan, I think about the highest technology available. And yet they're having still, a conversation about biotechnology and whether or not their consumers are okay with it, whether or not their farmers can grow it. So it feels, so crazy to me in my head that is there something that we've been using, a piece of science that we've been using here for so many years, decades, and we're looking for the newest, latest thing, NGTs, as opposed to GMOs. And yet, we still need to go over and have a conversation with them about GMOs. And selfishly, of course, I want farmers to have access to that technology, but selfishly, Canada really needs, those countries where we sell into to give a check mark as it relates to these kinds of science and regulation. So having some folks in the audience from the policymaker side is also really important to me. And, having Addison and Claire there to talk about the future of agriculture, I think is important. The truth is, and what I think will come across having them speak, is that they've never lived in a world where GMOs weren't grown. I have, but they haven't. And that's how accepting it's become, and I'm grateful for that journey. But we want to move on. They want to know what else is coming. They don't want to live, on a farm where GMOs is the only thing, where that's the only science and gene editing that we can look forward to. So I think that'll be kind of a cool perspective to bring.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, you have a great trip to Tokyo. You'll have to let us know how it compares to Winkler, and we'll chat with you in the new year. Okay.
It won't. I know for a fact that the audience in Winkler is number one. It was just a fantastic group of people. But yes, I do look forward to
absolutely. Okay, Cherilyn, thanks a lot.
Thanks, Shaun.
We'll be right back on the Farmer Rapid Fire. You're listening to RealAg Radio, Rural Radio 147, brought to you by Pioneer Seeds Canada.
Canola is more than just a pretty face in the prairie landscape. It's a big business, both here and around the world, that requires you to be informed and up to date on everything it takes to grow a successful crop. The Canola School on RealAgriculture.com has an expert library of video resources covering markets, agronomy, and more to help you grow a healthy and profitable canola crop. Visit canolaschool.com today. Brought to you by BASF Canada and Invigor Hybrid Canola.
I get to spend every day talking to farmers in the ag industry through RealAgriculture.com and RealAg Radio. But nothing is more fun than speaking to an audience live and in person. If you're planning an ag event, book a Real Agriculture speaker to make it a successful and memorable experience. Email shaney@realagriculture.com and you can book myself or any other RealAg personality to speak at your event. Bring your audience all the fun, insight, and energy of Real Agriculture. And we took the Farmer Rapid Fire, brought to you by Pioneer Seeds Canada, to, we're going foremost Alberta. We're talking to Shaun Harty, or should I say Excacum?
Excacum foremost, getting to be the same thing.
Yeah, the two towns they're growing so rapidly that they're sort of coming together, or what's happening?
Yeah, kind of like Airdrie and Calgary, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like turning it just sort of like the GTA. It all melds together, right? It's like,
that's right.
If you've ever driven through Salt Lake, it's like 2 hours of horrible traffic, of a whole bunch of cities connected. That's exactly what you can envision in this situation. So what's happening on the farm right now?
Not too much. No, we're hauling some fertilizer home here. The plant in Medicine Hat there was a little bit behind, and we were supposed to haul it in September, and we're actually able to get it in now, which is nice. The weather's good and there's no snow, and getting that kind of stuff done, and waiting on some seed cleaning and doing some work to some machinery, and helping my niece and nephew with some cattle, and there's always something to do, that's for sure.
Yeah, because you don't have cattle yourself, do you?
I don't. No. But my family, like my brother's daughter and her husband, have a herd, and we kind of run everything together a little bit. He helps us, we help them, and it works pretty good. So. Does it make, when you're helping out there, does it make you go buy some? No. I don't mind it actually, but I don't want it. No.
It's a perfect situation. You scratch your itch. Mm-hmm. It's sort of like being a grandparent, right? It's
exactly.
It's just like, we play with them and drop them off. It's great.
Yeah, it works out really well. I get my fix of cattle and say, there, I'll see you later.
Yeah, all yours to take care of. So, I guess we're hoping for some moisture. Is that what we're doing?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, it's, I mean, last year we were totally white by now, and we'd been, feeding the cattle and pushing snow, and and it really didn't seem to help us a hell of a lot. So, I mean, if it's not snowing right now, I don't think it's an emergency.
Yeah.
I just really would like to see. I mean, it sounds, everybody's going, yeah, no kidding, Shaun, but I'd like to see a good wet snow. February, March. That would fix a lot of things, I think, but. It's been a while since we've had that, so
yeah.
See what happens.
But point made, because that's one of the things about southern Alberta is that, to be honest, a huge snowpack right now. We need that in the mountains, like
for sure,
snow away. But down here on the plains, it's really, really, really about that wet. Like March through May, that's where we need the big, heavy, wet snow to come.
Absolutely, yeah. Like I say, last year we had a really heavy winter, really, and there during Easter when it all melted, it was going over the highways, and it actually wrecked one of my dams here by my yard. We had to rebuild it here and stuff. It flooded some land, and it was hard to believe the runoff we had, and it really didn't. Yeah, it didn't. All that snow really just ran, but yeah, we'll see what happens this year. It's like I say, we never lost a crop in December, but we'll see what happens.
No, that's true. You got to have that. You got to have that sort of attitude. Indeed. How were the crops this year, though?
They were not good. No, I sound like a broken record whenever it's I'm coming on your show. I kind of wish I had some better news all the time, but yeah, it's starting to run into each other quite often here, quite a few years in a row. But started out, same story. Started out good, good moisture. Everybody. We were all pretty, looking pretty good here and pretty positive about things. And then right after spraying there, June, we didn't get the June rains, and it went backwards fast. And in this country, like you said, you got to have those May, June rains, and if you don't get them, you're in big trouble, right? And that happened to us again, and then it started raining like August. We got the combines out to cut some lentils, and we probably had 2 inches of rain. So it just, we actually ended up with quite a bit of moisture this fall, like not quite a bit, but some, right? And we ended up seeding some winter wheat actually. So it was a funny year. It really was.
But from that standpoint, from an agronomic strategy, not a bad one. You got some fall moisture, get that winter wheat out of the ground, and based on how dry it's been, on the bias, you at least taking advantage of some of that early spring moisture if it comes, and not having to wait to get the crop in the ground. It's already in the ground, and you're launched and going. You kind of giving yourself the best opportunity, maybe, right? It's a bit of a risk management strategy.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it is. Yeah. And we jump in and out of it from time to time, depending on the conditions and the scenario. And yeah, that's the thinking, Shaun, for sure. And it did come up really nice this fall. We got it in good time, and it looks really good. And yeah, if we do get the moisture here coming early spring, I think it'll do well for sure.
So what are any big winter plans?
Not really. No. Just, Lee and I are going to the NFL coming up here, and which I've never been to, which is kind of a bucket list trip. And
sorry, what are you going to?
NFR.
Oh,
yeah.
But, really?
Yeah. But other than that, just the same stuff. Working on machinery, and we got the list in the shop, and yeah. But I'm looking forward to the trip down there. I've never been there before, so it's kind of a bucket list thing.
Yeah. You've been to Vegas before, though.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
oh yeah, Shaun Harty's been to Vegas. Okay, so we looked at going. Man, that's a busy time. But it's very, very cool. It's but I'm wondering, have you been to Vegas since the end of the pandemic?
Yeah, we actually kind of funny. We went last year for New Year's. We went to a football game and a hockey game and did New Year's Eve on the Strip, and yeah, we were there. Yeah.
It's expensive.
Oh, it is. You're right. Yeah, it is for sure.
There's nothing like paying $20 US for a Michelob Ultra.
yeah, that's true. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
So do you now there's a real rodeo culture in your neck of the woods. What's your favorite rodeo sport?
I don't know. I like watching. I like watching a lot of it. I mean, of course, my son steer wrestles the rough stock. It's pretty interesting to watch these young men ride the bulls and the bareback, and I really enjoy that. And just the horsemanship of some of the barrel racers and pole bending. It's an interesting sport. I don't know that I have a favorite. I enjoy them all. Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
I would way rather, if my kid was going to be in rodeo, I'd way rather have him be a bulldogger than be a bull rider.
Yes. Oh, for sure. Yeah. I still don't really know why he jumps off a perfectly fine horse, but I guess that's up to him. Yeah.
Well, because you're landing on a perfectly accommodating steer.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, nothing bad can happen. Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Steer wrestling's my favorite.
Yeah, it's quite something now that I'm into it a bit with Connor. It's pretty interesting, to get into the finer points of it. I didn't realize a lot of what goes on there, but yeah, it's been fun for sure.
Technique, power, the power some of those guys have. Is he built like that? I haven't seen Connor for a long time.
Right. Yeah. No, he's actually tall and thin now too. He's kind of like his brother, he needs to get some of his dad's thickness, but we'll see. That might come.
Oh, that's cool. And like you said, the barrel racing is like,
oh man,
those horses are ready to go.
Oh, and just so athletic, right? Like it's pretty neat. Yeah, for sure.
Very, very cool. Okay, so is the crop plan ready for 2024?
Loosely, yeah, it is loosely ready. I was at curling last night there, and it was that was the topic of conversation was what to see next year. We are kind of loosely locked in, but
well, if you want to know what's going on in the world, just go down to the curling rink.
That's for sure.
What's the biggest thing that people are discussing? When you go to, is it how bad the Flames and Oilers are, or is there other things that are being discussed?
Oh, I think just uncertainty of markets, and and just where do you want to put your chips, right? And Durham down here is a staple, but it's been a market that guys are just unsure of, right? It's you look at the supply and demand side of it, and it should be stronger than it is, right? And being so close to Feedlot Alley, feed barley, it's been rallying up and down. It's down now, but there's potential there too. But yeah, and lentils is a big one down here, and guys are discussing greens versus reds, and yeah, it's interesting. You got to get in those discussions just to keep you thinking, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, hey, Shaun, thanks so much for joining us here this week on the Farm Rapid Fire. Really appreciate it. All the best to you. Okay.
Sounds good, Shaun. Thank you.
And we finish up today's Farmer Rapid Fire out in Ontario, and we're talking to Pioneer Seeds Canada. It's Greg Stops. Hey, Greg, how's it going?
Good, Shaun. Thanks for having me back on. It's a pleasure to be back with you.
Yeah. No, Greg, remind us, what's your region? What territory are you looking after?
So the area I cover in southwestern Ontario is kind of north end of London, all the way up along Lake Huron to Bruce County.
And how is harvest progressing in that area?
Well, it's been a slow harvest season, but it is progressing. It seems like it's been really long and dragged out this year. Obviously, weather challenges have really hampered and slowed things down. Moisture, especially on the crop or on the corn side of the thing, has slowed things down as well. Just trying to get the volume of high moisture corn through the dryers. It's been a dragged out harvest, but I would safely say that we've kind of broken the back of it now. There's still a significant amount of corn out there, but it's getting less and less all the time, and we're through the vast majority of it.
Yeah, I was at Grow Canada this week and talked to a few growers that were in attendance, and yeah, the dawn issue is definitely high yields, but also some areas really impacted by dawn. That's really been kind of the agronomic story on the corn, right?
Yeah, this is another year where we're seeing a little bit of elevated dawn in our corn crop. Now, for us in southwestern Ontario, it's not a new issue. It is an issue that we do face the risk of every year. It certainly seems to become a bigger issue every few years as you see these outbreaks that spread a little wider, show a little higher elevated levels of dawn. That is kind of the reality of the Great Lakes Basin that we live in. Jib, ear mold, and the associated production of dawn are just an issue that we're going to face here in our environment. But I would say, well, it has become another year where we're looking at and being more cautious of dawn across the board. It's not as widespread as previous years.
So as you think about 23, and we're kind of going to get into the real heart of in the new year, like the winter meeting season, a lot of agronomy discussions and things like that at some of the meetings and conventions and conferences. What do you think? How are we going to look back on 23 from your perspective when you think about the Ontario growing season? Because there's always like little themes and trends and things that work their way through the winter as we lead into next year. What do you think that's going to be? How are people going to talk about it?
So as I look back on 2023 and even further back than that, 2023 seems to have presented itself as a unique situation. It was a bit more of a backward year than we realized. I think at the end of the day, if you're looking at heat accumulation and things like that, well, we probably got pretty close to average, but the way in which we got there was less than ideal for the crop. The crop was considerably stressed, especially from a solar radiation standpoint, and that's especially true for corn, but true for beans as well. And we saw kind of way more moisture this year than we typically get, especially through early grain fill, early pod fill for beans too, which really pushed things in terms of the stressors from diseases that we typically see across the crop. And that period that we saw in September with a lot of cloud, very low solar radiation, a handful of days with incredibly high heat, and then cold conditions otherwise, really did stress, particularly the corn crop. It's amazing that we've pulled off the yields we have, but it's been a bit of an abnormal year in terms of how we got there. There's always something to learn in that. And as we look forward, I think the things to learn are, the opportunistic things like seeing how different hybrids react to jib and ear mold and dawn production under pressure. Those things do tend to trend forward, right? And to be true as we go into other years, regardless of how the environment presents itself in future years. Some of those trends on yield and test weight in corn also carry through and are the same, right? So driving decisions, we have to keep in the back of our mind as we look ahead at 2024 and beyond that too, that, some of the hybrids we're choosing, some of the varieties and soybeans that we're choosing them based on kind of some of the performance we've seen, some of their strengths, some of their weaknesses that we have to kind of position around. But I think we're looking for what we've learned this year and knowing that the environment is potentially going to be different next year. So what are the things that I know are stable? What are the things that I know we can count on, regardless of if the environment is kind of a backwards year or potentially more heat for us next year, more open fall? What pays the dividends? How do I manage the risk there?
Yeah, great stuff. Well, Greg, really appreciate you joining us here today on the Farmer Rapid Fire. All the best to you, and we'll chat with you again soon, okay?
Yeah, perfect. Thank you, Shaun. Appreciate being on.
Big thanks to Pioneer Seeds Canada for being the sponsor of the Farmer Rapid Fire. Make sure you go to pioneer.com/Canada to find out more. Thanks, everyone, for getting real and getting connected with RealAg Radio, and we'll chat again tomorrow. Cheers, everybody.